Well, hello, everyone. We're checking the connection. I'm live. How is everyone doing today? I'm excited because I have been working on this live all week long and probably longer than that because it's a compiled amount of everything that I go through. And if you guys were on earlier or looking at my stories earlier, I created slides. And these slides, they are labeled Gloss Boss, and you can go into them, and it's going to talk about everything I'm going over tonight. And then Rusk will have it up on ruskpro.com, and you guys will be able to access everything I'm going to talk about here. Now, hold on real quick. I do have to, I have a technical glitch. I thought I did. Okay, they're right over here out of reach. Let me grab them. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back. Okay. I thought I was about to have to holler for my youngest daughter, Harper, to go get my slides that I created. So let me open this up while everyone is coming on here. Hello, hello. Oh, hey. Rusk is on here. Ashley's on here. Happy birthday. Yes, he had such a good birthday. Wait, give me 1 second, you guys. I just need to get this opened up. And while I'm waiting for this to open up, I will let more of you guys come in here. And if you guys have any questions tonight, I have Rusk in the house, aka Ashley. She will be helping me with everything that I need. And any questions you guys have that I don't see, she will be answering those for you. All right, let me get this in here. So if you guys go to my stories right now, you will see it is going to say, hold on. Don't you love when technology takes forever? It's taking forever to upload. So if you go to my stories right now, you guys will be able to find the slides that I created for tonight. And I'm just trying to get it to open up for me. Come on, there we go. So you guys can go on, you can kind of see it. It says Gloss Boss. Those will be in my highlights that you guys can see. Rusk will be posting them on ruskpro.com. And we can also directly send them to you guys if you want any of it. Last week, I talked about gray coverage. We were in depth about it. And if you missed it, hop back on over to my page or Rusk's page, and you will have full in-depth knowledge of how to cover gray. Now, if we're not covering gray, then what are we going to do? We're going to blend it. And so that's why I'm bringing to you guys tonight Gloss Boss. Imagine 20 years age, hello, the computer. So tonight it's going to be Gloss Boss. And we're going to talk about gray blending. And we're also going to talk about glosses, toners, demi, like all of it. So let's get into it. And like I've been trying to be really good at is following my PDFs, because in classrooms in person, I have them up on a screen and I can follow it. And when I'm here in live, I kind of skip all over the place. So I'm working on that. So Gloss Boss, demi, gloss, and toner. These terms are frequently danced together in the realm of hair color. Understand when, why, and how wield the demi-permanent color can make or break your coloring experience. We all know that. Let us embark on a deep dive into shimmering world of gloss, empowering you to become the master of all glosses. What I said right there, demi, gloss, and toner. When I was a baby stylist and I came out of school, I learned there was permanent color and demi color and semi. And so when I started hearing, I want a gloss or toner I kind of grasped it was very much a demi. But when everyone was like, I need a gloss, I was like, what gloss are they getting? So just know when you are hearing the terms demi, gloss, or toner, that all refers to the same word, and that's demi-permanent. I don't know why, that's just something I wanted to point out, because I even tell my clients when I'm talking to them, I explain stuff like you will never hear me say the word toner in front of a client, because I feel like toner reminds me of your ink cartridge and your printer. Just like I will never say bleach, it's lightener, because when I think of bleach, I think of cleaning. So that's why you'll hear different terms amongst hairstylists. Is it means the same thing, but we just are talking in different lingo based on what our preference is. All right, now in the second slide, if you guys do have it, what is the difference between permanent and demi? I'm going to talk about it straight to you guys. I do have it on here for you guys to use for reference. So if I have a client and they're sitting in my chair and we're having a consultation and we are talking about what is the difference between permanent color and demi color, and do they want full gray coverage with permanent color, or do they want a demi gray blending? I will tell my client, permanent color is like a black legging. Put that black legging over your skin. You're not going to see your skin through it, right? Full coverage, full black, full pigment, and as you start to pull that legging down, you're going to see your skin. So that's how it will cover hair. It's going to cover hair with full coverage, full pigment, and when their natural starts to come in, they're going to see that line of demarcation between their natural and the permanent. When we jump over to demi color or demi permanent, it's like a black pantyhose. Take that black pantyhose, put it over your arm. You're going to see that sheer black over your skin tone. You're still going to see your skin through it, but you're going to have a black tone over it. So that's how I'll refer to that as your demi. So you have that sheerness. The grow out is going to be more forgiving too, because if you have the black legging over here and you're pulling it down and you're seeing the harsh contrast between your skin and that legging, versus if you take this black pantyhose, pull it down, it's not going to be as harsh of a grow out. Now, in your consultation, Zoe, in your consultation, that's where you're going to go, okay, do gray hairs bother you? Yes or no? Yes, they bother me. I don't want to see a piece of gray hair on my head, permanent. But if they're okay with seeing gray hair, but let's cut down on some of that gray hair they're seeing. They want to have a lower maintenance with getting those roots done and more of a natural look. That's when I would go over to gray blending, and that's when we use demi. Because demi, I tell my clients, it's going to cut down on how much gray they have, but those very coarse, wiry ones, you know, those ones that are even hard to cover with permanent color, those are going to be the ones that still stick out, but you're going to really blend and soften up their gray. You're going to take like 10 years off of their graying stage in life, because you're going to remove several grays. You just won't be able to get rid of all of them. And then each wash that they wash their hair, they're going to slowly start to wash off some of that demi. Therefore, it's going to lead to a softer grow out for them. Gray blending, that's what I just talked about. So when creating the ideal formula for gray hair, I exclusively use the N series, and I'll add a little bit of G. The reason that I prefer to use the N series and add G is just like when you're over in the permanent hair color range, when you're working with gray hair, if I were like, oh, I need it to be ash and cool, you wouldn't just want to put a straight ash onto that gray. So with gray blending and using demi, when you're working with zero lift and any demi color, you're not going to have any warmth whatsoever. So you don't have to worry about that. With using the N series, the natural series, that's your primary colors, red, blue, yellow. And so you're going to have those that's going to help with the coverage of your gray. And I feel like with the N series, you really can't go wrong when it comes to gray blending. It's going to be a gorgeous tone, and it can hint on the cooler side. Now, if you're wanting to add a little bit of oomph, a little bit of that goldeny hue, that's when I'm going to add a little bit of G, gold, into it. And as we know, adding gold into our permanent color is going to help with the coverage as well. So adding a little bit of gold into your gloss formula when you're gray blending, I have seen in my experience that it's going to cover a lot more of those grays. And what I mean by cover, it's going to blend them. And that's when I will add the G to my series. What is Rusk Deep Shine Demi? How does the process work? So, any of you that are into like the fun science of hair color and how it works, I'm going to touch base on it a little bit. I'm going to read from my little slide here and then I'm going to dive deep into it. Rusk Deep Shine Demi Permanent Hair Color features an ammonia-free, formaldehyde-free formula with a pH balance of 4.5. Now, when we're thinking of pH balance, we want to know we have our hair pH balance, and then we have acidic and we have alkaline. And when we're working with hair color, we need to know where that hair color is sitting on our hair and what it's creating. Because when we go more alkaline, what is that going to do? Being more alkaline, that's when the hair is going to open up for us. When we are more acidic, it's not going to do that. So our developer meets our demi, and it's going to go together, and it's going to create that perfect pH balance for that coverage, because developer is alkaline. And then you have your demi, which I just said is going to range. Any other color line is going to be more on the acidic side. So you put acidic with an alkaline, you put them together, you have the perfect pH balance that the hair is sitting in to create that beautiful coverage that you need and to maintain the health and integrity of the hair. It's just like when you are lightening the hair and you go and you spray water on the hair to help stop the process. It's not going to stop the process. But when you rinse off the lightener completely from the hair and you're washing, you're taking that hair's pH balance that was really alkaline from being in the lightener, and with the water's pH balance, you're going to bring that pH down. I want to do a full live about pH balances, and I could sit here talking, so I don't want to get hooked on that. The pH changes when the developer is introduced, activating the color and opening the hair cuticle to allow the color to process for 10 minutes to initiate oxidation and alkalization reactions. So oxidation is when the oxidizing of the color pigmentation starts to happen. The alkalization is the alkaline that's creating the swelling of the cuticle that's going to allow the color pigment to deposit into that hair. Okay? Once processing is complete, rinse out the excess color and then shampoo with Color RX, and then we're going to use the 2-minute mask conditioner. So it's really, 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 really important to make sure that you're using good shampoo and shampoos and conditioners, like I know you all are, because that is a really main part, is you're wanting to make sure that pH balance is neutralized, it's set, and then you're sealing the cuticle to help hold the pigmentation in the hair and not having it completely drop out. Levels when it comes to glossing. So this is going to be a really important one that you guys are going to want this slide. I worked hard on it. Like I said, you guys can barely see it on here, but I'll zoom in. I have all of the levels right here for glossing. So we talked about gray blending. It's pretty straightforward when it comes to formulation, how it works, what you're doing. Stick with the N series, add some G. I told you guys that how it's going to blend, the difference of it from permanent color. Glossing. Glossing is a whole other beast. You cannot, let me repeat this, you cannot gloss your client at a level that they are not at. So what do I mean by that? There were several times, and this will happen usually when you're lifting through a permanent dark level and you're like, you want them at that level 9. So baby stylist me, I get my little level 9 gloss, even though I'm like, I don't think she's quite a 9, but we're going to put this on and see what it does. Don't do that. Okay. Make sure, if you have to, double check your swatches against where they lifted, because if you are at the wrong level. I talked about this with grade blending. I talk about this all the time. Don't feel ashamed getting out your level finders. If you're at the wrong level and you're glossing at that level, the pigments formulated in that color that you're using are for that level. So if girlfriend only lived to a level 8 and I'm using a 9 and I'm wanting to use an ash on her, do you think that's really going to give you a 8 ash if you're using a 9 ash because your eye isn't sure? Go get your swatches, because that is going to make or break your service. You're going to go and dry her and you're like, oh my God, her hair is so warm. As you're drying her, your heart's going to be beaten and you're like, oh God, what'd I do? It's still so warm. And that's because you formulated at the wrong level. And knowing your levels in a sense of, this is, it was interesting. I was at a class, BTC, with Ashley, and we were talking about levels. And it's very interesting how different sides are with the levels. So level 1 through 11. I'm going to go through levels 1 through 11 and what we're working with. So level 1, black, is blue. Level 2, darkest brown, is blue violet. Level 3, dark brown, violet. Level 4, red violet. Now, 1 through 4, majority of people told me was red. Now, in a sense, when you're exposed to natural pigment, yes, that is what you're seeing in the foils. But on the color side of it, you have to know that that NRP is what is at that level. And then as you guys go up, so we have 6 orange red, 7 orange, 8 yellow orange, 9 yellow, 10 pale yellow, 11 very pale yellow. I think of 11 as also like your white gray, where there's no pigment in it whatsoever, essentially. When you rinse out your client's highlights, take a towel, go over there, and gently wipe the strand. If you have bad lighting in your studio or in your salon, and not even bad lighting, but you guys know what I mean. You know, when you're looking at hair color and you're like, that hair color is not reading what I know it is. That happens all the time when I'm taking photos. I will take the flashlight on my phone. I look a little crazy. Thank goodness I'm in my studio. I take the flashlight, I wipe that off, and I'll hold the flashlight up close to the hair. Hold it up close to the hair, and it's really going to reflect back the tones that it is. So if I'm seeing any sort of orange, know what level we're at. We are at a 7. If I see any yellow orange, we're at an 8. So if you're seeing any of that orangey hue, you got to go, okay, I wanted her to be a 9, but I can't put a 9, hoping that that 8 will be a 9. Gloss her down and have the conversation, especially when you're working with a client who's brunette and you're highlighting through. You know, I'm not going to promise that you're going to get blonde highlights today, especially if you don't like warmth. I am going to gloss you at the level that we need to, and we'll have that conversation once I rinse you. And when I rinse that client, wipe the hair, look at it, and I'll go, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to tone you darker. And when I say darker, don't think of like really dark, but we're going to go a little bit darker than what you wanted, because we are going to be able to control that warmth that you are not wanting in your hair. That's a big conversation. They always freak out when you say darker too. Okay. Let me get into my description of glossing. Glossing hair is typically performed following a lightening service to neutralize unwanted tones, enhance color, or achieve an ash effect, like we just talked about. Understanding the level of lift achieved is crucial. Familiarity with the natural remaining pigment, as you guys will hear me say, the NRP, that's natural remaining pigment, FYI. Let us examine each level, the corresponding NRP, the appropriate formulas, blah, 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 blah. I'm staying on task. Okay. So we're going to kind of go through the levels, and we're going to talk about the glosses that we would use at each level to either neutralize, enhance, or ash. Fun. But this is a lot of fun when you are thinking of it, when you're going to go gloss. of what you're going to reach for. So say our beauty lifts to a level 9, and our level 9 is going to be, I'm so used to so our level 9 is going to be yellow or pale yellow, depending if you're in European or American. So if we're working with a yellow at a level 9 and we are wanting to enhance it, what's a great formula that we could do? So we're going to come over here. These are our Deep Shine Dummies. They're beautiful. We're going to open it up, and we have a few options with a level 9. So one of my favorites, you guys will see it on my hair quite often, is the CG. So that's a great way to really enhance and pop the warmth if they're wanting to keep warm at that level 9. Another great option is a 9G. So let me get that to reflect back. It's this guy right here. So the G is like a warm kind of beigey, where it's not warm like the CG because we have the copper in it. But the G, the gold, it's like that creamy. Is she pretty? She's very pretty. It's not too warm where your client's like, oh, did she even put a gloss on me? It's going to be that creamy gold. Every girl wants that gold tone for fall sort of thing. That is what 9G is going to be. For another warm tone that we can do is when we hop over the reflection. So these are the gloss toners. These are going to be the BB, BN, and BV. The gloss toners are formulated at a level 10. So if my beauty wants to have some warmth but doesn't want crazy warmth, that's when I would do the BN. That's the beige natural. So this one has violet, yellow, and natural. So it's very well balanced. So it has a little bit of violet in there to cut any of that extra warmth in there, but it still has warmth in it to allow that tone to be spot on. And I want to point out that the gloss toners you can intermix with all of the Deep Shine Dummies. Same thing with our Express. All three mix and play very well together. So another example, we're at a 9 and we're wanting to keep her nice and warm. We could take this gloss toner, BN, and then we could add in the 9G. Gorgeous. The G is for gorgeous. You're going to get this gorgeous, glowy, beige tone. All right, so we talked about how we would enhance the warmth of the yellow that you see at a 9, right? Now let's talk about neutralizing it. So if you're wanting to neutralize at a level 9, you have your yellow. What is going to neutralize yellow? It is going to be, of course, violet. Now, depending on the strength of the violet you use, you can either neutralize it or you're going to go very ash. So being aware of, okay, we're going to grab a violet and put it on the hair and we're going to neutralize it. That's great, but don't overdo it. If I'm wanting to neutralize at a level 9 using my Deep Shine Dummies, then a great option that I would use is I would come over here and there is the 9P, our pearls. So this 9P is very, very, very ashy, right? Because it has a silver violet in it. However, I would take the 9P and I would cut it with a little bit of 9N. So I'm giving balance. And when I get asked a lot, well, what's my mix ratio going to be? If we're using a 9P and 9N, how much of 9N and 9P? Well, look at how much yellow you have. Are they really, really yellow and you need more 9P than that 9N? Then do that. I give these tones and tones that work, but then you have to sit there and look at what is in front of you and what you need to mix for that hair. So here are the tones, your mix ratio, that's got to be up to you. You got to go, okay, we're really yellow, so we're going to use majority of this formula 9P, and then we're going to add in a little bit of the 9N. Now, if you're wanting a level 9 that is like a perfect, and I'm talking perfect platinum, you guys will see this on almost all of my platinums. This is my formula. It is going to be the Express, and the Express is the 9P right here, and then 9VR. The VR, do not let that fool you. This swatch looks, you're like, how are you mixing and getting lavender and silver and you're getting platinum? This 9VR is what 9VR will look like if it is on the hair for like 15 minutes, because the Express glosses are progressive. So if I use 9VR on blonde hair by itself for like 5 minutes, the 9VR is, it's not going to VR like this. It's going to be like a soft lavender. So if I'm using equal parts of 9P Express and 9VR, put that on for 5 minutes, you're going to have a gorgeous platinum blonde. Guarantee it. Now, if I'm wanting to have a ash, and you know those clients that sit in your chair and they're like, I want silver, I want ash, I want it to be smoky. That's when I mix up this concoction, and I use this a lot on my Latina girls that come in because they expose so much warmth in their hair. Even when I get them to level 9, their level 9 is going to be more of a yellowy tone in my own experience. And so this has been a formula I've been working on for a long time, and it's foolproof. It's very scary, but it's foolproof. So we're going to take the 9P Express, okay? We're going to take the 9P Express, and then we're going to come on over to the A's. So you have your ashes right here. And we are going to take a 6A. 6A. Let me show it up close. See how like smoky and silvery that is? But the amount of 6A I'm going to put in there. So for example, one of my favorite girls that comes in, 2 ounces of 9P Express to a 1/2 ounce of 6A. It's gorgeous. You have to make sure you're just using a little bit of this compared to your formula, because at this level, we are working with green blue. Okay, so if we're working with green blue, we want to make sure, first of all, at a level 9, we are not putting a straight 6A on there with some green, because that hair is going to overabsorb that and you're going to have a muddy tone. So that's why I love the 9P Express, because it has V in it. That is my favorite formula. And if needed, if I want to have like a little bit of insurance, then I will make sure that I'm adding the VR. So I have, sorry you guys, I'm streaming on 2 devices right now. I'm going to answer a question I've seen pop over here. 2 ounces of 9P Express, how much of 6A? I just covered that, so that's a really good question. So make sure that your 6A is like a small portion of your formula when it comes to using the 9P with it. If you use too much of it, it's gonna be too much. You missed it. Okay, so she missed the formula, so we're gonna go over it again. Express 9P, I'm gonna use 2 ounces. And then I'm gonna go in with the 6A, and I'm gonna use like a 1/2 ounce. So then I'm gonna be left with 2.5 ounces. So then I'm gonna make sure my developer is gonna be 2.5 ounces, because Deep Shine Demis, the mix ratio is a 1-to-1 mix ratio. So that is one of my favorite ash formulas. So we've spoken on how to enhance, neutralize, and how to make super ashy. Now I want to go over some of my very favorite formulas. And I have these formulas on my little slide here. So if you go again into my Instagram, onto my stories, I also have it on my bio. You'll see Gloss Boss in there, and you'll be able to find this. Okay. So my favorite Platinum Cool, we just went over that. Clean White Blonde. Now, let me backtrack. How many of us struggle with the names of hair colors? There's a lot of us. I've heard a lot of it. They're like, what is a teddy bear color, Katie? What is Cowboy Copper? When Cowboy Copper came out, I was like, oh, what is that? When you guys hear these names, that is us as stylists marketing. We have to market because we're using the same colors. It's the same tones. It's just mixing them in different ways and making them exciting and new. Same thing with haircuts. A long face frame haircut can be a butterfly cut. Let's make it exciting for our clients. So when it comes to glossing and formulas, I personally like to put glosses on for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, gets the clients excited. Just like when you see new fashion trends for each season, we want to see what is the hair trend, hair color of the season. So it's going to get our clients excited for the new seasons, and it's going to make us not have to do the same gloss over and over. Number 2, I feel like when we put names onto glosses, once you break down what that name is, you know those tones. That client's sitting in your chair and they're like, I want Cowboy Copper. You know exactly that that is going to be a red, orange, copper that you're working with. And you know the tone that your client is really wanting to go towards. So as much as some of us dislike the naming of colors because it can get very confusing, there's a rhyme and reason to it. All right, let me answer this. So the difference in silver and platinum is silver has ash. That's a good question. So the difference between silver and platinum, I look at platinum is it's the same as silver, but the dose isn't as high. It's just enough to make that platinum where it's a white with a hint of that silver coming through. So when we come over here and we come into our Deep Shine Dummies, the platinum that I use is the Pearl, which is a silver violet. And then I like to add a little bit of the ash. And the ash that we have right here, you're going to have the green, blue, blue, violet. You're going to have more of a blue tone base to it. So that is the difference with it. With my formulas, when they're wanting more of that platinum, we're going to make sure that we mix it, but not as strong. When they're wanting more of that silver smoke, that's when we add in the ash. So I hope that makes sense. I can go back over it though. Okay, so back into my favorite formulas. So we talked about platinum. My favorite platinum is 9P, 9VR, and this is with the Express, and it's equal mix ratios essentially, unless they're porous or you feel like you don't want as much 9VR, use as needed. So with that platinum, when it comes out, what you're going to see is it's going to be white with a hint of silver to it is what your eyes will see. When we go into a smoke platinum, an ash platinum, I'm going to use Express 9P with a little bit of Deep Shine Demi 6A, because that is going to add that overdose of ash pigment into that pearl to really make that smoke come through for you. Clean White Blonde. We've all seen this, that white, like white blonde. I love to use Gloss Toner, BV, BN, equal parts, the beige violet and the beige neutral. The beige violet is going to give just enough of that violet-y tone that it's going to neutralize any of the warmth in the hair. And I like the beige neutral because it's going to give just a little bit of warm reflect in the hair, but we still have enough violet in the formula that it's going to completely neutralize any of the yellow in the hair. And it's really good when you're wanting those glowy white tones to have any sort of warmth in them. Because, and I'm not talking a ton of warmth, I'm talking like a little bit of warmth, because that warmth is going to help reflect the light off of it. Yes, sorry, Russ stopped me in my tracks. So anyone that is wondering, glosses will be fully restocked October. That just made my day. I had to put that out there. All right, back to formulas. So Warm Honey Blonde. How many of you guys have seen Warm Honey Blonde? I know I have. And my favorite Warm Honey Blonde, I did touch on it, was 9G, so 9 gold, plus BN, beige neutral. So like I said, it's gonna, that beige neutral, since it's formulated at a level 10, and it has a little bit of that violety hue in it. And then we have that G. When you put those two together, you're gonna have enough of that glimmery, warm tone that you're definitely gonna see that gold, but it's not gonna be overbearing like a 9CG, like you're like, ooh, that's copper in. That's not gonna do that. So that's gonna give you like that soft, milky honey. Should have named it that, milky honey, because that's kind of what I think of too. Teddy Bear Blonde. How many of you guys have heard Teddy Bear Blonde? We all have. Teddy Bear Blonde has been in. And I kind of giggle at it. I'm like, really? Teddy Bear Blonde is just like literally a 7N. But like I said, it's exciting. We have to make stuff exciting for our clients and ourselves. My Teddy Bear Blonde right now is Express 7N with 8S. The S's in olive rust color, I like to point this out, is not silver. In other color lines, you will see that S is silver. S in all rust colors is sand. It is a beautiful balance. It's not too warm. She's not too cool. She's not in the middle. She's just like right there, because the sand series with the demis is a yellow violet. And if we are adding that into the 7N, when you come over here, make sure you guys can see, the 7N is red, yellow, blue. It's a natural brown. So it's really going to give that natural. I add the 8S into it to just give it a little bit more pop, a little bit more lightness to it. Old Money Copper. Old Money Copper is probably my favorite color because I am all about the copper hues. I'm going to be changing my copper hue here soon. Old Money Copper, 5C and 6CG equal parts. I have that on a model that I did at Premier Orlando, and you guys can see it if you go to my Instagram page and go to my page, scroll down a little bit from this summer, and you'll see her. She has this beautiful copper hair. The highlights in it are 9CG, 9 copper gold, which I use a ton in my hair, and then her 5CG with the 6CG, beautiful. Now, chocolates. Chocolates. I didn't know how big of a deal a chocolate was until I learned that it was a big deal. We have two different types of chocolates, and you need to be aware of any color line when you are working with chocolates. Don't just grab a chocolate because your client says they want chocolate on their hair. Because if you're putting just chocolate on any client's hair and your client is a brunette that hates red, they're not going to like it. I like to refer to our chocolate as like a cinnamon chocolate. It's got a hint, just a very mild hint when it is on. Where is it? It is so hard to see the reflex in here. But these are the chocolates. We have 4CH, 5CH, and 6CH on here. Our chocolates run more on the cinnamon-y side. So when I'm speaking to a client and I'm like, all right, you want chocolate today? Do we want like cinnamon chocolate or do we want golden chocolate? Put it like that. So cinnamon chocolate, I like to take the 5CH, which is this guy right here. You guys can see how it has a little bit of that reddy tone to it. And I like to oomph it up with a little bit of 6R into it. And that is going to give it just enough of that pump that it's going to give it that cinnamon hue. Expensive brunette. Expensive brunette is more like our golden chocolate. And that one's going to be 5G equal parts with the 5CH. So yes, the CH has that cinnamon hue, which is beautiful. When you add the 5G to it, it's going to give that perfect balance of very rich. And that's why I call this expensive brunette, a rich, luxurious tone of brunette for them. Now, when it comes to developers that we use with our glosses, I have played with almost probably every gloss out there. Not all lines I created the same when it comes to using developers. Speaking directly about Rusk, you can use either 0 lift or 10 vol. With these formulas, when you guys pull them up and see my formulas, you will see my developer changing. Why does your developer say 0 lift here and 10 volume here? When it comes to our developers, so first of all, Rusk, our developers are universal. So you can universally use our developers on our demi, our permanent, our 10-minute, our lightener, on every color line. Then so since we're using 0 lift and 10 vol, 0 lift is going to be no shift in the base whatsoever, none. So when I'm having a client that wants that true cool tone, does not want to see any warmth in their hair, I'm going to use a 0 lift, because that 0 lift is not going to expose any of their natural remaining pigment, any of that warmth that is naturally in our hair. If I have a client that is wanting warmth and they want to see that goldy hues, they want to see that shimmer, if it's like a chocolate that I'm wanting to add more of that warmth to, that's when I will reach for a 10 volume, because the 10 volume, you're going to shift their natural along with adding in that gold, and it's going to expose that warmth. And so that's why when I go to formulating, I'm like, okay, they don't want any warmth, we're sticking to 0 lift. They're wanting warmth, we're going to switch over and we're going to use the 10 volume with it. It's being very aware of that. I've had a very few times, where I have been told that they don't want any warmth in their hair, and they're like my last client of the day, and I have ran out of my 0 lift. That's when my heart pitter patters, because I know I can use that 10 vol with that 9P on their hair, but if they have any virgin head on their hair, if they have any virgin hair on their head, it's going to shift their base. And when it shifts it, I want to say that it shifts it about a half a level. Oh, thank you. I love that you learned so much. So it's going to shift it. And that's when I have to go. And this is just in those moments when you've run out of it, and how I've had to get creative, is I know that I'm going to be exposing their natural warmth. So then I need to make sure I'm going in with a little bit more ash into their formula, and work it in a sense of, I'm going to rinse their ends out sooner than I would, because the ends are going to be porous. I'm going to add a little bit more ash into it, so when it's on the roots, we're going to get a little bit ashier, rinse out those ends. It's trying to make sure when you run into those moments of unexpected color and having to pivot and shift, keeping your cool, being aware, and doing that shift in a way that's not going to put you in a text message or phone call the next day of needing a redo, when it could have just been you taking a minute longer, thinking of, okay, how can we shift this? How can we make it better? And I think that also comes to when you're glossing. There's been several times where I gloss them, and the formula on wet hair, when you've been doing it long enough, at least, you're looking at that hair and you're like, I know if I sit them up, it's going to be too warm. And that's usually the issue, is too warm. Sometimes we have it where they're like, it's too cool, and you're like, it's going to be too, they're not going to be happy with it. Take your ego, set it aside, and conversate with your client. Because when you conversate and let them know, hey, this gloss didn't take the way that I was expecting it to, I just need to put another gloss on top of it and everything will be fine. I charge by the hour. So I make sure I reassure my client. I'm like, I'm going to stop the time while I'm redoing this, because this is me making sure you're getting what you want. And my first go of thinking what you want didn't go in that direction. So I'm going to make sure that I do this right on you. So if you do charge by the hour, that's the conversation I will have. The other is, say you can't really see what's going on their hair. You've glossed them and you're like, it looks good. But you get them back into your chair. This has happened more than once to me. You're blow drying them. You're shaking out the hair. And you're looking. It's when you start to have like that dead stare on your client's head and you're like, oh God. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to redo this. I need to redo this. Do not keep blow drying their hair. You need to have something set in your head where you go, okay, if their gloss does not look the way I want it to as I'm blow drying their hair, I'm going to blow dry. First of all, I'll blow dry right here first and right here on the back of their nape, because those are the two most important places that'll show me that gloss right away. A lot of times the back of the head right here, it does not take the gloss as well. Why? Because a lot of times we towel dry all the top hair and really saturate that, and then the stepsister, aka the back nape area, does not get hit as well. So then sometimes you'll end up with hair in the back area that just hasn't taken as well. And so it's stopping and going, okay, I just need to take you back over. And if they're like, I'm in a hurry, I gotta go, that's when you gotta go, okay, well, I can have you come back and we can fix it. It's making sure you're giving the best customer service to them, and it's being aware of accidents that do happen behind the chair. You know, we're human, we're not machines. So being aware of, you know, I taught you all of this today. And even though you can go back and use it, and even if you're the most experienced stylist, don't tell me, because I know there are stylists on here that have been doing hair for 20, 30 years, that you don't have those moments where you're like, ah, crap, I know I need to fix this, I need to say something, because you used all of your knowledge, but that hair decided to go haywire on you and not give you what it was supposed to give you. To keep that client in your chair and to keep that as income for you, suck up your ego, come up. If you're hard with confrontation, which I am, I'm like too nice for my own being sometimes, come up with skits, sit down and write out, okay, if I need to redo a toner, how do I approach it with my client? How do I say it? And say the exact same thing every time to every client. So then you're not sitting there freaking out in your head as you're blow drying them going, maybe they won't see it. They won't see it. We're just going to keep drying. We're going to keep drying their hair. They're never going to see it, because that's not what's going to happen unless you have a client that is too scared to say anything to you, and then they're not going to come back. That was my little preach to you guys. I got a little passionate, but it's the truth. It's, you know, we're doing this color education to stay on top of it. But then when we come back to the real life and what's actually happening behind the chair and what we can do to handle it, right? Now another accident that can happen a lot is, what if the hair grabs too much and they go too ash? That is a big one that you don't just want to throw gold on top of it. When it comes to an arsenal of tools, if you have endless time and you are not concerned about time, we can get into eliminate. I'm going to go in depth on eliminate. If you're in a pinch, I like to first start using a detoxifying shampoo. Detoxifying, clarifying shampoos. Clarifying shampoos are going to just remove. It's going to remove that tone off for you right away. So if your client grabbed way too ash and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? There are other options out there that are not Rusk that you can do, but speaking to Rusk, the charcoal shampoo, get in there and just shampoo them. Shampoo, 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 do it twice, see what it's looking like. And then if you need to, you can go through with a wet balayage, because a lot of times the hair will grab majority of that ash formula on the ends. So wet balayage is mixing up your bowl of lightener. And I usually use like a 10 volume. Do your normal mix ratio that you would for foils, a 1-to-2 mix ratio. Mix it up. And then as they're laying in the shampoo bowl, brush out their hair, condition it first, please. Condition it, wash out the conditioner, brush it out where you need to, and hand paint and really saturate those ends. That's going to pull that ash toner out for you right away, and it's not going to compromise the hair either. And it's going to open and keep that cuticle open for you to gloss back over it. And I've had that happen a few times with hair that's very compromised. Those blondes that you have coming in that you have not touched, they come in, they sit down, you could go to their hair and it blow away. Those are the ones that, like, I'm even scared to put any sort of gloss on them, because no matter what I put on them, no matter anything, that hair, the integrity of it is just going to, it's going to absorb every sort of pigment, and you're going to be like, oh my God. So a lot of times that's when I will reach for the clear. And with Deep Shine Demi, we have a clear, and clear is just, it's clear. There's no color to it. What clear is great for are those moments, for those blondes that are too blonde for their own dang good, and you have this beautiful formula that would be really good on your normal day client, but on Miss Sally Sue that it was wanting this, we're going to want to add some clear to it because clear is going to dilute it down. Visually, how I like to think of clear is, say you have a red cup of water, full red cup of water. Well, a half cup of water. And then you're going to take some regular water and you're going to add it in, and it's going to dilute down that red pigment. That is what clear is going to do. So when you have those clients that you're scared to put any gloss on them, add the clear to the formula. And you can make primarily your formula that clear, because clear is great for the hair. The ingredients that you will find in Deep Shine Demi are going to be adding shine, integrity, like it's going to make the hair fabulous. So you can make, say your formula is 2 ounces of clear, and then you want to add just a little bit of ash to it. You can add a little bit of the 9P to it, you know, just a little dash in there. And you could try out, like, swatch them, tell them, because if you're working on a new client who has compromised hair, who's super, 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 super blonde, and you're scared to put a gloss on her, don't go and pour it all over her head. Mix up a little bit of your formula, sit her up. Don't do it on one of these front pieces that she's going to see on her head. Go into the back of her head, put it on, and as you're wiping it on, if their hair is that porous, you're going to see that pigment right away. And then you can rinse it. And then that means you need to add more clear to your formula. I've had a few clients where I'm like, all right, we're going to stick to some purple shampoo. And even though I know purple shampoo, you're probably going to have some purple in your hair. Purple shampoo is going to be much easier for you to wash out over home versus us dealing with a gloss. So that is that scenario that I would deal with overly porous hair when it comes to glossing. Now, when it comes to getting the hair prepped and ready for a gloss, this is another controversial thing as well. I like to shampoo and then I condition before I gloss. I do. I love to use the 2-minute mask, leave it on for 2 minutes, and then I put their gloss on. I prefer this because when I shampoo and condition the hair, I am leveling out that pH balance. And when you have a nice even pH balance, or as even as you can from root to end, what are you giving yourself? You're giving yourself the best canvas that you can put gloss onto. I feel like when I don't condition, I can have areas on the hair that just suck it up way more. Like I had a client once, I'm blow drying her. I'm like, this is beautiful. But then her hair lays down flat and I'm looking at it and I'm like, she's got polka dots of ash tone on her hair. And that's because her hair had more porous areas than the other. And even to this day, her hair has always been that way. We can get into that another time. But putting that conditioner on it and letting it sit for the 2 minutes and then rinsing, and then I go through and I put my gloss on, and then I use a regular conditioner on after that. Prepping the hair after you lighten it is very, very important. I love, 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 especially if I have highlights in the hair, I like to use Rust, their Pure Mix, their charcoal, because like I said, it's clarifying. I want to get off all that lightener, any buildup products on their hair that they had prior. It really sets your hair up for a nice clean canvas to gloss on top of. If I have one per se that like I want to use purple shampoo because you want a pre-tone, that's controversial as well, but we're not talking about that. I will use VHAB, which is our violet shampoo, but I don't use that first. I will go through with either, if I don't have my charcoal shampoo on me, I will use Color RX shampoo them, rinse, and then I'll put the VHAB on, and then I'll go over and I will mix my gloss while the VHAB is sitting on their hair, pre-toning it, and then I will finish them with the VHAB conditioner, and that's for more of those like platinum-y, ashy tones that you're wanting. All right, you guys, I have literally, I think I've gone through it all. I am going to leave this on my page, and it's going to be on here. If you guys didn't get to see this and you're just hopping on right now, it's going to be saved. I'm not going to stop it, delete it, and it's going to go away. This was everything about glosses in depth. I have a full entire slides that I put together for you guys that you can get on ruskpro.com. and we can send to you directly as well. And make sure you guys are signed up on ruskpro.com to get any of your glosses, especially those of you that have been dying for the glosses and waiting for the restock. October is when they're coming back. Make sure you're signed up on Rusk Pro because you will be one of the first to be able to order them and have them back in your salon and studio and just happy as day. And being on Rusk Pro, you'll get all of our education. You'll be able to order directly from anything that we have. And anything and any questions that you need, you can always reach out to me directly, or you can go to Rusk's social media page and you can speak with them. Ashley is the gorgeous face on the other side of that. Next week, I will be on here doing a technique. I'm coming out with all new techniques that I'm going to showcase to you guys live here first before I go to in-person classes with them. And you guys are going to love it because next week I'm going to be showing how to work with gray coverage and highlighting all at once, because like how I talked about gray coverage last week and blending this week, gray coverage isn't talked about a lot. We see all these fancy balayage, teasy light applications, but let's also talk about covering and blending gray while we are doing these applications. So mark your calendars every single week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I will be here for you guys, giving you as much education, as much love and support that I can give all of you guys. Have a beautiful night, and I will see you guys next week at 7 p.m. Bye.